So, hi, Justine. Thanks for talking to me today. I
Hi,
appreciate it.
Jamie. You're like in outer space. I love it.
Yeah, thanks. I really enjoyed your film.
Thank you.
So, my first question though was, I read the press packet and it had quite a lot in it, and it was saying how Olivia had, exactly what you wanted for Violet. But was there something in particular that you were looking for when you went to cast it?
Well, I don't know if I could put it in words. There's a certain uh, sort of kind of characteristics or a feel or a vibe that I need for each one of the characters. And then when I look at video of the actors, their work, their interviews like this, their social media videos, I can see those characteristics or components. Maybe they're obvious, maybe they're subtle. I know the subtle ones I can tease out and expand. And she just had there were, I don't know that I could even articulate what it was. There was just some qualities about her that I knew were right for this part. And and then she really lent herself to the role, and I was able to tease those out of her, and it worked out great. It's a good question. I wish I could be more.
Sorry, that's okay.
It's
That's
kind of like
okay.
when you're house hunting or apartment hunting
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
walk in and you go, this is the place,
Yeah, just something about it, right? Okay, well, I know when I first started watching it, started watching it before I read it. I was really surprised by the male voice. And after I read it, I understand why you chose the male voice because it's so different. But did you ever kind of worry that that would cause sort of a disconnect between, the character and her voice with people watching?
Um, No, I didn't, because years ago, one of the ways I got away from a fear-based life and got into an instinct-based life was I started thinking about these thoughts like as an experiment, like, what if somebody else was saying these things to me? Wouldn't I recognize that they're lies? Wouldn't I see these thoughts more objectively? And so I wanted to give that to the audience, that kind of perspective. And so, yeah, that's the intention. And in a way, if anybody does feel kind of a disconnect because that, it's kind of good, because they should, I think, disconnect from those negative
Yeah.
thoughts and see them as something separate, just as an experiment, so they can see them objectively and recognize that they're lies.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So was there something, and again, maybe you can't think of this off the top of your head, but what kind of made you come to the idea of the colors?
Like the red wash.
Yeah, no, using red and violet characters kind of
Oh, the
as
character
imagery. Yeah,
color.
sorry, as using those names as
Yeah,
representing.
yeah. Um, yeah, I know. And Lila is sort of like lilac.
Oh,
I
I didn't
didn't,
even know about that.
I didn't realize I was doing that when I wrote it, to be honest with you.
Oh,
But when you look at the light spectrum, the visual light spectrum for humans, you've got red on one end and purple on the other. So she has to get to, red's the polar opposite as far as how he lives his life. So she has to go across this spectrum to get to where she needs to by the end.
and of course my alarm goes off. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to ask if you had other colors in there, but I guess that answered it. Lila, I didn't even think about that. So even obviously even up to the end, she's still kind of hearing this voice, and I think we always have some self-doubt. But what would kind of be your one piece of advice to people to make that overpowering voice shut up in your head?
I think to recognize that they're lies, and then to ask yourself, what irrational fear do I have that is serving as an anchor for that fear? Why am I buying into it? And not rhetorically asking, but really, that's what helps me. Then I'll write it out, or I'll talk about it with a friend, and I'll get to what the irrational fear is, like fear of not being provided for, or fear of never working again, or fear that you're going to be attacked, or I mean, whatever it is, just even just writing it out and not judging it before you put it down, but writing it out or saying it out loud somehow exposes it to the elements, and it'll start to disintegrate. It won't have the same hold on you as it will in the future, as it could have in the future.
Yeah. All right. Um, do you remember, and obviously don't going to get too personal, but do you remember kind of what it was or when it was that you sort of this shifted in your head that you said, I'm going to change? Was there one particular moment, or was it just kind of a combination of things?
It was really just, feeling not right. It was like, I don't feel like I'm being myself. Why am I not being myself? Why am I in a situation? This was years ago, but like, why am I in a situation and I want to say this, but I say this other thing instead, or I want to wear this, but I wear this other thing instead. Like, what am I doing?
Mhm.
And then I, was journal and talk to people and figured like, wow, I'm making a lot of fear-based decisions. Why am I doing that? Why am I doing so much people pleasing? Like, what am I trying to protect? What am I trying to achieve? What am I afraid is not going to happen if I don't do that? And then I had to experiment. I had to like not do that and see if the worst case scenario actually occurred, which is what she does at the tire store, right? She
Mhm.
wants to find out, like, okay, hold on. I understand that this may not be true, but I'm going to find out. Are you lying to me? And then you go and you do it. You go, you are lying to me. And then that gives you, when you do it in a small way, uh, it gives you the strength to do it in bigger situations. And then what I would find was like, wow, either the worst case scenario doesn't happen at all, or the worst case scenario does happen, but because it happens, something magnificent happens on the other side that I couldn't have seen
Right.
unless the worst case scenario occurred. So yeah, it was really just, I mean, I think, I made fear-based decisions for a long time before I realized I was doing
Mhm.
them, and then that occurred like, I don't know, late teens, early 20s. And then, yeah, I just started pounding at it. Once I realized that you actually can get from someone who's making fear-based decisions to someone who's making instinct-based decisions. Cause I thought like, I don't know, do you have to be born one way or the other? But once I realized you could cross that bridge, I was all in. And then once I got to the other side, then I felt pissed that fear had stolen time from me. So that's why I made the movie, so that other people could maybe not have that time stolen from them.
Yeah, because I was going to say you don't necessarily even think about it. It's made me think about things. Is there something in particular that like you really, and this can be professionally, but just something that you really regret that it did kind of screw up for you, or do you just kind of try to move forward, and not worry about it?
No, that's a good question. I think it's really just, you know, I want to be the most myself and the most confident I could possibly be by the time I die. I just want to do more and more and more because it's such an enjoyable place to be in. And yeah, I can think back to situations where I would have enjoyed myself so much more. Or
Mhm.
I would have, yeah. So I can't think off the top of my head of like one particular incident. It's just
That's okay.
a way you think about yourself,
Mhm.
it just would have been as much fun as I had in my life before I made this change. It would have been so much more fun.
Right, right. And then just quickly, obviously, this movie is a lot about self-discovery or rediscovery. Is there anything that you learned about yourself from making the film that you had not realized or had forgotten?
Well, I realized that I know how to be a music producer now because we didn't have the money for that, so I had to do it. And I know how to turn in deliverables now, and be a post production supervisor essentially that I didn't know how to do before, and lots of other stuff about releasing a film. Um, but yeah, I'd wanted to do it for a long time, and I just had to wait for the timing. And then when the timing came, like in 2017, um, it just feels so right and so correct. And
Mhm.
I just love it. And, sure, there's lots of stuff to learn. I mean,
Mhm.
I'd love to know a lot more about, you know, so many things. And that's fine. Like there's time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, it's a great film. So I appreciate you talking to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
Bye. Have a good afternoon. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.